Hey, Natsu here. Retrying for the last video. What if Deku had a leveling system? Part 12. Because for like 9 or so minutes, it's lagging, only saying if, and no, since I don't actually do any editing on my videos, it's kind of problematic, if you see what I mean. So, let's just. I'll just start it all again. Well, this time it might take less time. But yeah, so. In the last part 11, Deku killed a god and gained the ability to stop time for 10 seconds with a cooldown time of 10 minutes. Um, he has 7 books. He is 200 and well, actually that won't really matter because after beating the god and well, killing the god and coming back to the Swamp Kingdom, he decided that he was going to train for a while. So he trained until his full age was 223 years and 7 months and 2 days, but in the original I said that I wasn't going to go in that much detail anymore afterward. Basically afterward it's only going to be like years and the amount of weeks. But yeah. So Deku has, after the training, his level is 1212. Um, each stat that he has is basically 4.8 million now. And so he decided that it was time for him to leave and go to the next kingdom, which is called Limni. And after that kingdom, there is a temple between that and the other one, with, well, ruins, which he's going to have to pass through and go kill the god as well. So, after basically training just before leaving, he decided to go to the guild to try and see if there's a quest that's basically not to gain money really, since what he looks for is mostly items and stuff like that he gets on quests and stuff, since his daily quest gets him all the money that he needs. Um, he gets point for all of them, and he sometimes, but extremely rarely, get items. Like on at least one of his quests, of his daily quest, he has, well, he gains a small potion that basically gives you back 20% of your health, which the further you go in, the more useful it is. Since when you only have like 300 health, you kind of just get 60. But when you're about where Deku is with over 2 billion, well, not really right now, he's just around the 50 million HP, but still, he gets a lot back from a 20% potion. Yeah, that wasn't in the original, but still. Um, Basically, Deku, on his daily quest, he gains money, um, potions, rare. He sometimes gets potions that go for 30, 40, or 50%, but those are like once a month for the 50. So it's really um, not that many times that he gets them. He still has a huge amount of them since, you know, he completes all of his daily missions. When he finishes 3 daily missions, he gets 3 stat points that he can then use or to increase his stats or stuff like that, which he keeps. When if you don't complete all 3 daily mission, you don't get those 3 stat points. But there is a way to actually buy one quest if you're not able to do it for 2 points, which after that Deku still gains 3, but that only makes his count go up by 1. Um, so yeah, Deku goes to the guild to see if there's an escort mission or something like that. And sorry, he finds one for for a girl that's trying to go to the Desert Kingdom, which is after Limni, and after the ruins. Basically, it's the second kingdom after the one afterward. So he goes to Limni, he goes to the ruins, and then he gets to the Desert Kingdom. She wants to go there. So he took the quest, and when he met her, it was a five-tailed fox girl. Well, a five-tailed fox demi-human girl that presents herself as Lucy. So she is a kitsune with 5 tails, and she basically presents herself and explains why she's here and why she wants to go to the Desert Kingdom. Which she explained is that she took a quest to come here find herbs with a party, but all of them died, and she kind of just got out of it alive. So she needs a party or someone strong to bring her back out. Which she asked him where his party was, which he said he doesn't need, since he was always alone and he basically trained there for a good amount of time. So basically, she presented herself as Izuku Midoriya, which she says, yeah, I know, they already told me. And after a bit, she took out, after she basically asked him precisely what she wanted him to do, to escort her back to the Desert Kingdom, he explained to her that he was going to do that, but that he needed to do 2 stops before. The first one is to the Limni Kingdom, which when she hears that, she says, wait, the Underlake Kingdom? Because Limni is a kingdom in a bubble of air, a magic bubble full of air, under a massive lake. People there, well, the most common species there are fishmen and um, sirens, but there are demi-humans and humans there as well. So, um, she was kind of looking a bit surprised. Then he said that he also wanted to pass by the ruins that are there before going to the Desert Kingdom. Well, that is between those two kingdoms. So, after saying that, she took out a small blade and cut herself on the finger. Then extended her arms to basically give the blade to Deku, as well as basically waiting for him to do it so that they could basically exchange blood, which he asked her why she did that, and she basically explained that it's for a blood pact, basically a spell in her kingdom that most people do when they go on quest together. So that they are kind of forced to actually finish the quest. Which Deku took out his sword after that, and she basically asked him, "Why are you taking that? I'm basically giving you the perfect weapon to do it without cutting too far." And he basically told her, because if I tried with that, it probably won't cut it. Um, my defense is at 4.8 million, and basically everyone in the guild basically kind of just stopped and started saying like, 4.8 million? Whoa, that's impressive. How the hell did you get that much? Which he then said, well, she was basically asking him, who are you to have that much power? When she then looked at her and said, my name is Izuku Midoriya. I am the king of um, Dragnos. Yeah, sorry, I keep forgetting it. I even did the same thing in the last video, in the part 12 that I tried, but that lagged. So yeah, basically, a title I wanted to give him, but I forgot to give it to him in the last part. Well, in the last time I did it, was the young king, because he always looks young still. Well, I wanted to give him or the name the young king, or the name the unaging king. Haven't decided yet, but basically they met him at age 14, 15, and well, yeah, 14, and basically he haven't aged a day. His hair did grow a bit, well, are still growing over time, which he cuts it themselves or other people cuts it, and Deku keeps them a bit long compared to in the anime. Be right back. Hopefully this is working this time. Basically his hair are about that long on him, except that they are green and black. He doesn't have that face. And he's sorry. So basically he, after saying his name and who he really is, basically gets swarmed by everyone because, well, they want to be with him. They want to learn more about him. They really think that he is impressive, mostly because of the strength he has for being born on the lowest continent. He, um, well, after just a bit of that, he basically grabs Lucy and places a shadow cloak around him to basically get the hell out of there with her. And what happens is, well, easily, he just kind of brings her out of the entire kingdom, like just on the door outside of the wall. And basically, starts trying to. Well, he finished talking, and then she basically starts going fangirl a bit because, well, he is King Izuku. Um, by himself, he was able to augment the power level of the entire continent he was born on, creating um, creating object machines, well, mechanical enhanced magically enhanced mechanical equipment to basically render work easier, and basically being known for his special ability to basically learn a lot of things easily and fast. So Deku basically asks her if they can do the blood pact, basically taking his sword and doing a cut on his finger. They put the cuts together, and she says the spell. And what they decided to do is that he will protect her no matter where they go until he is able to bring her to the kingdom that she wants to. During that time, he will protect her no matter what happens. And her, what she does is, I will stay close to you and make sure that I'm not in your way until I actually get there, and I'm going to help you in any way I can. Um, from what Gremlin on Discord is the one that made this character. Basically, the only reason I asked him for someone is because I needed a companion for him this part and the next one. But I literally took a small notebook and kind of noted every kind of sidekick kind of, well, basically I noted on every page of that notebook people that he would meet over the story that would stay with him for a small amount of time. And yeah, I kind of lost that. Well, not really that I lost it, more that for some reason it wasn't where it was supposed to be, and I dropped a glass of water on it and it was literally destroyed. Like, if. Well, literally, the paper was really not good. Like, I didn't buy that notebook, I actually got it like 3 years ago for Christmas. And I don't know if it was because it was super old or something like that, but the paper basically didn't do well with water. So yeah, I kind of lost all of those. So I asked him for help for this character. I'm going to try and remake some of them for later in the story. I didn't explain that in my first try of this. But yeah, basically, After doing the pact, she asked Izuku how they were going to go through it because of all the monsters that were in it. Because there's still a lot of monsters, which he basically said that there's not going to have a problem with that, and goes Sky Dragon Force, which makes his hair turn pink. He grabs her and basically starts flying. During that time, she decided to ask him some questions about why he's going to Limni, as well as the Desert Kingdom, and why he's going to the um, ruins, which he basically explains that he wants, well, firstly, for the kingdoms, it's because he's trying to get the 21 books, 21 books, to basically learn how to decipher a um, an old language. That language being those that you find in ruins. So he needs to go to Limni to basically find it and get out of there with it, as well as every other kingdoms that have one. That explains that he already has 7 of them, which he kind of is a bit impressed because those books are in the place where people knows that they have them. They're still pretty renowned for being special artifacts that needs to be reunited with one another, but have a small how do you say, the people who have them normally don't give them away because, well, oh, if someone's going to decipher it, it's going to be me. But the reason Deku has them is literally because, well, he needs them, he's going to buy them if he needs to. But most people that he meets, for some reason, they actually kind of accept to give it to them. Which she then asks him why he wants to go in the ruins then, right now. Because if he doesn't have the books, it's kind of useless. Which he then explains that he needs to kill all of the gods. Well, no. Well, yeah. He basically explained that he has something that he needs to do, and to do that, he needs to kill all of the gods. Which at first she doesn't take him seriously, and then just gets that he is serious. And she starts laughing, telling him, "You cannot kill gods. They're way too strong. A single one of them could probably destroy an entire kingdom." Which is true, a lot of them could do that, but really not all of them. Far from it. Which he then tells her that he actually did it once already. And then she basically tells him, "Yeah, right, that's not possible." Then he says, "Well, I destroyed the a one ruin," which she says, "Yeah, right. Even if you try to kill a god like that, the ruins are indestructible as long as a god is in there, in the realm, so that's impossible." Which he says, "Yeah, well, that begs to differ," basically pointing, since they're kind of high in the sky, to the ruins that he destroyed. Which she basically starts laughing at him, saying, "Yeah, right, that can't happen. The gods won't actually let themselves be killed that easily. They're way stronger than you anyway." Which not all of them are as strong. Yes, he was on the low side, but he was still higher than a lot of them. Around 40 gods are still weaker than what he was. So, Deku, after around, well, after a bit, after saying those, she basically starts turning her head and sees it, and she kind of stops laughing. Which he then explains to her that, yeah, well, you see, I was able to kill it and I gained his power. Well, mostly because he actually asked me to kill him, and that the reason I'm actually want to kill all of them, the other gods, is because he asked me to do it to be able to kill the strongest god and the first god, as basically. Which she tells him that it's literally impossible. Even if all of the other gods ally themselves together, they wouldn't be strong enough to kill him. Which Deku basically tells him that if he trains, he could do it. Which she basically starts asking him, "Do you know what they are? How strong they are?" And blah blah blah. Which he then decides that you want to know what I know? And sorry, so he basically tells her, "You want to know what I know? Well, I know this. There are 2012 gods in total, if I count myself counted as one now, because I've killed one. And each of them are have been created after the first god. The first god is over 200 trillion years old. Sorry, I don't know why it lagged in my mind. Um, and okay, just to put the number in perspective, 100,000 million billion. Oh wait, it was just that. It was just 200 billion, not trillions. But still, that's a huge number. And it's actually a rounded number to the 2 billion because it's actually higher than that. Just round it up around that to basically make it less long to say. And the first god created 5 other gods, which are the quintuplets. Those gods were born only around 40 million or so years ago. All of the other gods that come after them were born from godhood or gained godhood over time because the first god decided to give power to some humans, beastmen, and whatever else. I have to pause for a bit, sorry. Like I was saying, sorry I had to pause for a good amount of time. Or some gods were just born like that, or some attained godhood because the first god decided to give a certain amount of people divine power. There are also those who were actually born with power because they were the children of the quintuplets. Once the amount of God reached 2000, the first god decided that he wanted to stop the amount of gods that were created, but wasn't able to stop it completely fast enough, and 12 more were born. Well, created, born, or whatever. And so he decided that he changed the entire way the world functions. And if you kill a god, you gain its power as well as his title. So if someone, let's say, were to do like Deku is doing, killing every god, you would gain the power of multiple gods, and the amount of god would diminish. Problem is, yeah, gods didn't really attack other gods simply because most of them were content with only having the power of one at their disposal, or weren't thinking that it would work like that. So, yeah. Over time, except the quintuplets and the first god, almost every other god died at least once. Basically, well, every other god that were created after them died almost, then those after that, a lot of them died, and then continuing like that. So there are a lot of gods that are actually weak, and a lot of gods that are extremely strong. And basically these seven strongest are the first god, the quintuplets that never died, and one other that basically every day all he was doing was training in his own realm. So for him and the others, and the quintuplet and the first god, basically they're extremely strong. None of the quintuplets and the other one are actually close to the power of the first god, simply because of the age difference, and that basically, well, he is massively stronger than them. So he basically explains that, and that afterward he was going to have to kill all of them to actually kill the first god. That he already killed the first one because he actually allowed him to kill him, and he was told that he will need to kill all of them to be able to defeat the first god with all of the powers that were basically made for every god. So when they arrived out of the swamp, he basically starts acting as if he was low on magic and basically gets to the ground, stop flying, and deactivates his Sky Dragon's lair. Well, Sky Dragon Force. Sorry, I have to pause again. Hopefully it's not lagging. Okay, like I was saying, they got down once they came out of the swamp, and Deku acted as if he was exhausted, which, when he saw that, she saw that he was exhausted, he basically explained to her that he has a huge amount of power and stamina, but something like that still takes a lot out of him. Which she then asked him, don't you have other spells that can allow you to fly? Which he decides to lie to her and tell her that, well, yes he does, but those ones or aren't flying as fast, or are actually harder to control. Which she decides to believe him because she's thinking there's no reason for him to lie to me. As well as something that Gremlin decided to put was that just from looking at him, she's falling in love with him, which she doesn't know any better about it. Reason for that is that well, he's literally not even trying to look for love or something like that. He's literally just, well, he's literally just there to look for a way to go back home right now. And he's thinking that, oh, the 21 books will allow me to know exactly what I have to do. So he's basically just kind of staying there for that and not thinking about anything else. He's not thinking about making friends, even though he makes them. He's not thinking about having another family or finding someone to love. Which, well, she doesn't know that. But she's still falling in love with him. Because Gremlin said that she was. It's a one-sided love, but she still loves him. So, um, after a while they started walking again. Um, when they started doing that, firstly, um, she asked him precisely why he was trying to kill the gods, which he then explains fully that the god that he killed already actually asked him to do it because most of the gods are actually just thinking only about themselves in their own realm, just kind of there without doing anything, not training, not doing anything, and starting to get bored. Um, a lot, a good amount of the other gods are actually just, um, how do you say already? Well, some of them are just literally bad gods. Like, they take a specific amount of place and just do anything they want to this place, where they do it where there is people or stuff like that, just to torment them. The other gods don't do anything about them for the reason that, well, they're only doing it that place. People there just have to leave, even though they don't. Then there's those that basically just made a cult around them, and they kind of just try to control those people to do whatever they want, not even for the good of people. When they do something good, it's basically just kind of show off their power and make people think even better of them. So after that, there's the first god, the quintuplets, and the god that never died from the original batch that was made. So he's basically a third generation god, I would say. Like the first god, first generation, only one of his kind. Second generation, the quintuplets, then the third generation, every gods that came after them. Then the fourth generation, that are basically those that killed a god to get their power. And deku is going to be the fifth generation, which is getting more than one power because he's basically killing every god. So yeah, that's how I'm going to place it basically. And he's basically going into every god of the fourth generation first. And yeah, so after a good amount of walking, they arrived to Limni, the lake, the Underlake Kingdom. When they arrived there, um, There are two guards that are basically camping a gate, and the guards basically tell them that if they want to use the gate to get to the kingdom, they have to pay for it. If they have their own way of going to the kingdom, they don't have to pay anything. They say that the amount that they have to pay is 1 gold to go there by the gate, and well, per person. And the girl just looks at Deku and tells him that she's going to have to wait outside. She doesn't have the money for it. Which Deku basically just takes out two gold coins and basically just pays them, all the guards. Which she asks her Deku why he's doing that. The amount that she pays is only like 40 bronze, which is the second level of coins. Um, and he basically just says, I'm not in it for the money, I'm basically just helping you because, well, I'm going there. I don't even need the payment afterward, but still. So I'm ready to pay for you everywhere we go. So the guard basically laughs at him and tells him that if he use too much money, bad stuff will happen. And he basically just kind of laughs a bit about it. So this is something that I explained a bit. So every continent, from weakest to strongest, in the weakest, most things that are basically common to buy are bought with copper coins, which are the lowest one. Basically, in um, Polyrace, Polyrace, they're basically a kingdom that likes to take advantages, take advantage of people with a lot of money, or even those that don't have a lot. So basically, every time they can, they place an amount that's way too high for it. So on this continent, they could a lot of time basically bought stuff that would be easily bought for a lot less than what it should he bought. Like a lot of stuff that he bought with 1 gold or more gold than that. Like the magic oil. Basically, in any other of the 6 lowest kingdoms, because from Dragnos to Narashi, that magic oil would basically cost from um, 5 bronze to almost um, 30 of them, 30 being in Narashi, but Polyrace is basically the only exception because Polyrace is just trying to screw everyone over because people want more money. So, firstly, Deku doesn't really know that. Practically everyone that lives there doesn't really think about it. Basically, they just pay up because most of the time only adventurers get out of where they are. And most of the time, the adventurers kind of don't care because of the amount of money they make by taking multiple quests at once, completing all of them, coming back and getting a huge reward, basically. So that's why most things basically are um, taking a lot of money because most people who actually buy them are adventurers. That kind of won't really look at it as a bad thing since they already have a lot of money. Those that aren't adventurers basically get screwed over most of the time because of that. And yeah. So basically, they ask him how much money he has because a lot of things in this kingdom cost a huge amount. And lying, he says that he has about 8 diamond coins, which they basically have their jaw dropping, which he then tells them who he is, and they kind of reacts like, what the hell? Like, in even in that king, even in some of the higher kingdoms, in the higher continents, it's hard to get that much money. How did you get that? Basically, not in Valak and some of the others, because the higher the continent, the easier, well, the more money a quest gives you, or the more money common things are, um, the more money you need to buy common things. And in the last continent, like, some of the common things are basically bought with 1 diamond. Like, even like really poor family still has get at least 2 diamonds for their jobs. So in in the last one, people have a lot, basically. Like, if someone from the stronger continents come to the lower places, they can basically buy stuff easily. And yet, Deku's basically doing it because of his missions and stuff like that, since he's getting money. But yeah, so they basically let him enter after a while, and he basically started going through the kingdom. Nobody really pays attention to Lucy, but almost everyone pays attention to Deku. Because if you remember, when I said the species that are in there, I talked about fishmen's, sirens, beastmen's, all demi-humans, and humans. I never talked about elves for this one. Reason for it is that elves normally don't come close to here, or because they feel uncomfortable, or because it makes them sick, or because they're scared. Reason for that is that about 200 years previously, a high elf that was actually really well, that was extremely high class, like he was in royalty basically, got killed just for being an elf basically, and he had a lot of power behind him, well, with him. So basically every elf's kind of high elf, half elf, elf, dark elf, and everything else basically kind of stopped going there because, yeah, one of them that was extremely powerful got killed. Deku firstly didn't know that. Secondly, he didn't really care about it either. Like, even with every adventurers and guard in the city that would be ready to attack him, there would only be like, well, actually, those that would be able to actually fight against him while he's in his normal form basically would probably not take part of the battle. So he doesn't really cares and basically gets to the castle. In the castle, he meets the king, a fishman, and the queen, a siren, and both of them, well, they start asking questions, And they get why he is here, because okay, you want the book, but then they point to Lucy and says, why is she here then? What is her business? Which he says because for now she is under my protection, which they then say, okay, so you want the book, right? You see, the problem is that this book is in our family for a good amount of time, and we would like to make sure that we keep it or get a compensation that would be around the same value amount. They were told by the guards what Deku told them, that he had a lot of, well, 8 diamond coins. So he was rich. So they decided that they wanted about 10 platinum for it. But just for him not to lower it below that, they decided that they were going to take a lot more of his money. Well, no, ask for more money. So basically, they ask him for a diamond coins at first, thinking, okay, he's going to lower it. And when they ask him that, he basically just take out a diamond coin and throw it at them and ask for the book, like nonchalantly, which Lucy doesn't really isn't really surprised by this, simply because she knows that, well, he wants to kill every god. So she isn't really surprised by what he does. Killing gods is a lot more rewarding than a single coin. So, um, the king basically asked him why he would give that much money that easily, and Deku grabs his bracelet, starts taking it off just a bit. A huge amount of his energy starts coming out, and then he activates 4 of his Dragon Force, making a huge amount of aura basically surround him, and basically the entire kingdom, as well as the entire lake. When he did that, Lucy, well, everyone in the kingdom literally pissed their pants. She was the only one that was kind of able to stand straight, because she knew about his power. When she saw that happen, she basically prepared herself to feel a good amount of power. She wasn't ready for that much though, since I think I said that Dragon Force was around a 10 time multiplier. 40 times is a lot. You know, um, basically he has 4.8 million on each stats, then multiply all of those by 40. He's stronger than multiple gods by this point, which she didn't saw coming. Like, when he did that, he wasn't um, hiding anything. And before doing that, actually, multiple people in the room, guards and the magician of the kingdom, were basically trying to read his level and his stats, and weren't able because he didn't want them to. When he did that, he basically stopped um, doing that, and basically went and just kind of was like, okay, I allow anyone to see my power if they're trying to, and Someone was actually using one of the crystal balls to actually see his power from afar, and the crystal ball basically just exploded because it's not made to get that much power in this place. Like, he literally was by himself when he did it, augmented the level of the continent by at least 2 places, which is kind of huge, right? Well, not really, because, well, let me explain. From Polyrace to Faltwi, the difference that they do it, since how they count the rank is basically you add all of the power from everything on the place and then divide it by the amount of being that are there, and that's basically what they have for the power. The difference between Faltui, well, from Polyrace and wait, that's not supposed to be a L. Okay, sorry, yeah. That was supposed to be a K. Pactlim, basically, so yeah. From Polyrace to Pactlim, there's only around a 3 million difference. So Deku increasing his power, well, literally, let me just show you. That's his power on each set. That's his power after that. He basically blew up the counter through the roof and augmented the power of the entire place for a while to that. And basically, everyone that was in the area around him felt a power so massive that they weren't able to actually resist. A lot of people, mostly kids and old people, literally passed out from his power. Everyone else basically shut themselves or almost did it. And he wasn't really thinking about it correctly. But when he did that, he basically said, I'm ready to kill a god for those books. And the impact of those words, when because of what he did, didn't just show them that, yeah, he's serious. He basically made them see that, yeah, no, I won't let that anything happen to me. I will get them. Because anyway, he will have to fight one to get one. The last one is in a temple, in the sea, on the complete opposite of the continent. So Deku is kind of, yeah, he's ready to do that. And he has the power too, as well. As well as think about it like that. For every element there is, he has a dragon force. He has a huge amount of power then. The problem is that even with the power he has, yeah, he can only use like 7 of them without actually completely using his power in like 4 seconds. Or in one attack, I should say. So, He is kind of powerful, but if you use 8 of them, he basically has time for one attack. If he goes further, well, same thing. But the more he takes after that, the longer he's going to be passed out afterward. So it's not an option for him. So, yeah. After doing that, basically, he went out of the place. Because, yeah, no. Well, actually, they left afterward, after taking the book. And while coming out, they saw everyone that was passed out. And he kind of just reacted like, oh shit. So, once that happened, basically, um, firstly, they went out, and after coming out, um, Lucy basically asked him what the hell that was, which he explained that he has special bracelets to make sure that he doesn't use too much, well, that his aura isn't all around the place always. The problem is that um, firstly, the two bracelets that he has are made to hold a huge amount of power, and yet his power is still coming out even when he has both of them on fully. Like, you can still feel his aura around, not as strong as what he truly is. So, yeah, basically, he kind of explains that he needs new ones, which is totally true. He needs to find some new ones, or to find more. Which, what I mean by that is, well, literally what it sounds like. Not only having two, but more of them on him to basically help distribute the power. So, yeah. Hope you liked it. Hope it didn't lag this time. Um, Tell me names for um, other continents, since he should go to all of them. Well, hell, he is going to go to all of them. Literally, at some point, I think I'm going to do 2 weeks where it's only that I'm doing, leveling deku. But yeah, so hope you liked it. Leave a like, leave a name in the comment section for basically the continents that I have. Also, give me names for gods as well, if you're at it. Because I have 2012 to name. I'm going to use names from mythology, different mythology, as well as some name that I've created, but I still need a huge amount of names. So yeah, hope you liked it, leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to, and Natsu out.